Most of all, no Buddha laughed. If you ask the last person you saw, it's about me. But if you say the last person you saw, it's the killer, then it's absolutely not me. The mouth of someone who makes out prove themselves, the emperor said coldly, his eyelids trembling. Laugh at me for an hour. Perhaps the most indifferent person shrugged his shoulders. There are many witnesses. The high priest and I met. Before I left, I told my daughter. She's been with me the whole time. She was my first witness. Then there are the two princes. And he hasn't finished yet. The emperor hurriedly put on his arms. All right. I believe this has nothing to do with you. The emperor looked indignantly at the surest side of the earth. This is his second son blocking his throat. With his cunning. Say not. 7 will be dragged into this murky pool of water. Loss of the initiative not to speak. It can be washed. The strongest look in a long time. The emperor laughed coldly and nodded. Track butler brave but full of bright light brilliant. Probably won't do this kind of dirty thing. Most likely, he suddenly smiled. Calm smiling face. Jia Sand, the leader of the wind, and impermanent leader C, also silently laughing. I couldn't drag the family down. The emperor turned his attention to the emperor. The emperor looked softly at the surest side of the earth. But probably ordinary. When you came to the temple, was there anyone else? Most likely a small nod. Speak up honestly. Of course, the King's Cross. Hong Fu Thien Nguyen and Mr. Being a guest there. You seem to be arguing loudly. After they finished arguing, they wanted to leave. The word just came out. The two people of the kingdom of heaven receive impermanence. In the twinkling of a deep eye. Of course they are not ashamed. But they don't believe. The most cunning boy in this world won't pull them down. Right now. Most likely, the world once again speaks deeply. But I can't wait to get out the door. They met me, and they got into a fight. It doesn't matter anymore. The emperor waved his hands and laughed coldly. But it's the sand and the wind and the wind. Silently laugh for an hour. Suddenly stand out. Your Majesty, this point is very important. The king can be eliminated. Your Majesty, please think. At that time the owner was angry. I don't know if there are people outside. It's the best time to engage with the high priest. If we don't even act now, then we can only prove it. They never thought of killing the high priest. So they're not unsubs who accept for 104s that make sense. Probably the most unconsciously frowned slightly. On a face full of innocence. Jia San school winds staring most certainly. Don't laugh out loud. On the contrary, the emperor's face was constantly sinking. I couldn't get lost. Even the emperor can't be present. They're here to mess up. The plan is to kill him. That. He doesn't show it on his face either. Sweeping eyes at everyone. The officer ordered. Tell everyone in the government to wait for orders. Don't leave the city. 3 Dynasty. Everyone is ordered to leave the hall immediately. Just like that, disband. Wait until you leave the city. Probably the most proud Thai drill to go to. The impermanent leader left the heavenly palace. Catch up the pace of the most certainly hugging the right to say. Trach Quan Ra. most likely to stop walking. Turn your head to the lost people. You go first. The people nodded softly. I know you have something to do, so wake up and leave. Wait until everyone is gone. Impermanent leaders speak up. We are the enemy, but thank you. Clear his mind. Most likely, smile for an hour. Refuse to comment. Now we are the enemy. Again have to coexist. What I did earlier wasn't for you. I understand this, but still thank the butler from the side for help. But I didn't even wait for the impermanent recipient to bow again. The sound of laughter came. Since when have you had such a good knife? You to look back. I have seen the sand. I don't know when I arrived. There is still a smile in her mouth. The impermanent leader hurriedly bent over the power to say, "Oh. Ra is the Prime Minister. I have to thank the Prime Minister for his help." What is a good leader? Slowly out of hand. Master Feng laughed and said. The butler just opened his mouth. I heard out. He wants to help your king escape. I really am helping the lost. If you do not do as you wish, you will be destroyed. That's right. The emperor took the death of the high priest as an opportunity. Summon the whole world. Just find a reason to solve it. The lost house and the king. It is best to solve two houses together. The two houses are strong, but actually killing the high priest. Take a breath in your eyes. The most excruciating cold analysis, even if at that time our lost family escaped. But, as long as the king's son is murdered, the emperor may still be lost. Responsible for killing the emperor. Make both sides miserable. The emperor is at the right time. You can borrow all the power of the court. They killed two houses together. At that time the title of the world's first steward. The emperor gave me. It will really work. Even though you can't just name it. Without working for the court. Hey ha ha ha, the butler really has a foresight. The world is great. It is easy to understand the subjugation. Jia Chongfeng could not help but praise a sentence. Impermanence is also a nod of appreciation. With the wisdom of our BA. If the alliance is truly invincible, the emperor can do nothing for us. There's no shame. Writing in the first. 2 if the world has no opponent. Is not very boring, Sao? Most likely, he laughed for an hour. Jia San's school wind and impermanent leadership finished listening. He also laughed loudly. They say they all have binding interests. But still as the enemy. In our hearts, we still respect each other. Was naturally born to face the imperial conspiracy. It's very interesting. Make them feel good. The lion's head suddenly said. That's right, you say. Who killed the high priest? In my eyes there's a flash of light, most likely with a deep smile, to said. I have to say why. Since I heard the emperor ask. After we go to the high priest's house. Then it's all clear. The capital is still the seat of the royal family. Jia San's school wind and impermanent leadership finished listening. He also nodded softly. Suddenly it was like a mirror. For a long time, Jia San mapled to eyes up light. Deep speaking, the leader of the demons, the 4 pillars of the Demon King. Your Majesty the Emperor now. Maybe it's all around us. It doesn't matter. I think it's most likely to be a thought. The 4-star Demon King soon heard of it. Invisible goes nowhere, like a ghost with a shadow. Can't roam. Except for Emperor Ra. I'm afraid no one can ignore his true form. At this moment, the fog rushed from behind. On my face, I can't stop panicking. They're dangerous. They're dangerous. Please go and save them. Hear this word. Probably the most amazing eyes. He gave orders to the heavens. Take the people back to Black Mountain. How did she find out about this? It's like understanding your mind. The fog hurried up, and I could feel it. Jia-san's school wind gently nod. I believe that the Holy Spirit can detect God. Her intuition's never been fake. Probably in the heart of transparency. Take a deep breath and speak up. Let me show you the Emperor. The two called the girl. Please take my place and escort me home. Jia-san had wind with impermanent receipt. They all laughed a little. Head meets. It's just that the impermanent mind thinks of something. Frown say. Now the Imperial store has made it impossible to get in and out. Maybe the butler wants to run away. Hey ha ha ha, you are really a good nature. I am not so stupid now the Emperor has me. I can't help laughing for an hour. Probably the most popular one. Permutation topography disappears. You can't see it. The impermanent leader is startled to speak up. Surely this is a miracle. Multivariable devil tricks. With this magic of his, even if Ra is made, is there anyone who can touch his shadow? Hey ha ha ha, that's true. If not, do you constantly suffer in his hands? The head of the head. Jia-san's school Feng mocked a Fen. I often hear the red anger. I can't say a word. The school promised to deliver on its promise. Bring the fog back. Not long. 3 people came before the lost family. Turn your head and look at the two of you. Jia-san's school wind angel spoke. On the way to thank you, there are 2 people who take care of the baby here. The 2 were also in a hurry. It's just impermanent. I suddenly asked the girl. I don't know what happened to the high priest. What are your plans? And the fog suddenly darkened, and the fog spoke. Oh. Thank you for your understanding that you will be buried in the Tang dynasty. Take a breath. The impermanent leader sighed, according to reason, so it is only. At the funeral, he looked at the enemy as a high priest under the 9 streams. I can close my eyes. The body cannot withstand the shock. The fog is unbelievable. Look at what the Bible says. Master, what did you just say? What did I say? Sorry for the time being. You don't seem to hear anything. The impermanent leader was startled and pretended to be stupid. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows in a hurry. Maybe I heard you say the enemy just now. Maybe you know who killed my grandfather. Please tell me if I know. My eyes are red. My eyes are red. Clench. The impermanent hand does not release. Impermanence is clearly felt. The intensity of this fist. One look at her and push her hand out. Slowly shaking his head. Sorry, the old man doesn't know anything. Ask the manager to leave. When he finished, He shook his head and left. Jia-san Chief Feng lightly glanced at two people, smiling for an hour. We are also in a hurry to say goodbye. There's only the stupid monk standing there. He told me to ask the butler. Maybe he knew the killer was going to kill him. The 405-year-old is not allowed. Accelerate the speed. Go to the side. The impermanent leader shook his head and laughed out loud. Leader Xian, you are not fair. Lucky to be sure, he even helped you on the road. Whoever thought your return would cause him trouble? Based on the current relationship of Van Jia and the make a big deal, the lost will not get out of the relationship. I don't think it's easy to say ha ha ha. The Prime Minister said wrong. I'm not sure I said that before. We're just protecting each other. It's still a rival relationship. If somewhere else, that boy will probably be even more cruel than me. More. This murky pool still needs someone to stir it up. It's just that I don't want to be that dominant bird. Now someone is out to mess up. We can also wear our strength, not Sao. Jia Chongfeng softly stroked his beard silently and did not speak. It's just to blinking eyes and not understanding how to laugh. No one can guess what he's thinking. Another dimension. Outside the imperial capital. Middle Spy. Several thousand centaurs headed towards the forest city. With 2 wives, sheep inflammation high. Protect the safety of the people. This one way. They don't have any major obstacles. That's right now. I can feel the wind again. 3 people in the sky saw it all. The bad guy is finally here. I looked at the people who had just appeared. Laughing coldly, these people are just a fantasy. But it's definitely not ordinary people. You have to be very careful. The disdainful Ant Serum pouted confidently and said yes. Even if they are more evil. It's just a fantasy. Perverted as surely as mortals. I don't believe there is a second person in the world. I told you to snow men and sheep inflammation high. Immediately rushed to the bottom. The black people saw you. You can't slow down your face. Seriously say, people pay attention to the dual fire of the peanut family. The ants just landed and didn't care. Laughing out loud. That's the old lady. At the same time in hand, sharp frost flashed violently Rushra. There's a loud bang. The celestial masters were immediately frozen. Can't move. Then the frost crumbled. His body also broke into pieces. Look at this. The people in black suddenly startled. Rush back behind. The Ant Serum laughed loudly. As I said, the sky is small. I can't stand a blow. The sheep laughed for an hour. Follow closely to flatter, the old woman said. Your wife is a unique sight. I just looked out. They're nothing more than a show-off. It's not like the old man was careful. The liver is not as big as a woman. I said, hands up. The fire immediately flew out. Every time there is an explosion. Turn 10 black people into dust. The Ant Serum covered her mouth laughing. Like a silver bell ringing. However, it is different from the pride of Taship. Tears of horror silently look back. The black people below. based on the feelings of the black people left behind. He's sure it won't be solved so easily. Thinking about it, he stared down at the bottom. Carefully observe a fen. It's like responding to the worry in his heart. The men in black watched their friends being dealt with. But there's no worry on the face. After a moment, in the horror of the weeping people who were smashed by the ant's stick, began to move endlessly. Then, following each wave of evil aura emitted, dark evil gradually gather, condense into a human form. At the same time, he also held a lone knife in his hand, like the dead come back to life. Extremely creepy and evil. Ha 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 ha, the water and fire twin gods of the Lack family. Just like that. Sheep Veen High and Tuet Thinkin saw this scene. Sudden terror. The sheep in the sea screamed in shock. Was blown to pieces. And then can be merged back together. What a monster. Ants are also an unclothed form. Strong Lao Ra scolded loudly. A group of celestial beings dared to mock you just now. It didn't make sense. I just pulled a tape. A fire immediately rushed towards the black medicine man. But the results are the same as before. 2 heads through them. But it doesn't hurt. That black people are approaching in front of them. Lone executioner emits a blue light that attacks. The picture they can't escape. Suddenly in a hurry. Even under siege without paying attention. His clothes were cut off. This threatens to people in a cold sweat. Snow the ant looked at the tears of horror screaming. The old man, what are you doing? Not even quick to help. The celestial ceremony observed so far. Suddenly there's an idea that sounds like an hour. They don't have an entity that uses the element to attack. This one thing wakes you up. My eyes can't help but light up. Immediately use the spirit to attack. But let them stay forever. The black medicine man was just knocked a few meters away. Then remained the same without any hurt. The snow was horrified and looked at the black man. There's a little pause. Lower your voice. The primordial impulse of the 2 miracles. We only have. You can push them back. Not a single one is stunned. It's really unbelievable. Right now, the black leader suddenly screamed for battle. Lifting under the scream, the black people laughing together gathered in one place. Dance full of sky. Then each jet of dark air is wrapped around the correlation. Linked to the same place. It's like a big, regular hammock. Floating in the air. At the same time, the Great Spirit was slowly gathering. See this scene. Horror is not inevitable. Slowly bite the bass hood screaming loud conjecture. 406 martial arts aimed at the original god. The people in black heard that. We can't help but spread laughter together. Inside, the more popular NT0. This is the primordial amplification. Magic combination master magic projection aimed at you. Prepare to die. The voice stopped the black pictures and shouted in. Suddenly I laughed at the 2 of you. Sheep inflammation high, let go. A cold force saw the dew coming. Makes the gas a little bit stagnant. In a sudden panic. I didn't dare to be as contemptuous as before. Hurry back. At the same time, use the spirit to attack. But it's not useful at all. The original gods attacked Kier. Just encountered the fusion of the black medicine man as the tide meets the dike. He was briefly flown out. Two people in a panic. On his forehead full of cold sweat, constantly screaming. What is this toy after all? And the devil is like that. Even the original god of attack was knocked out. See this scene. Sheep inflammation, see color, face discontinued weight. Look at the ants. Say death by birth. Pure energy. It's basically nothing to do with these things. The ant shakes its head, thinking it's useless. While they're retreating. I don't know how. Suddenly a dark light flashed through. The heavenly feast in the blink of an eye appeared in front of two people. Sheep inflammation of the sea in the eyes condensed. Look at the black man. What does your boss want to do? Sheep inflammation high startled suspect or ask. Smiling for an hour. Shocking tears in my eyes scattered Rhea deep too. Hey ha ha ha, this is still to be asked. And of course, shut those arrogant people up. Friction 3 absolute third you long devil soaking. To press the end of the sutra suddenly shouted loudly. The sound of the earth's vibrations. Just for a moment, the dragon suddenly came out. The ocean's fangs swayed violently as if to bite everything. The black pictures are not very clear. The head of the dog touched the person in front of them. A thunderous sound echoed. The whole circuit was suddenly violently shaken. Kia's black photos are still arranging temporary formations. Completely destroyed. They don't even understand it at all. What comes up? My eyes are dark. I lost consciousness in the blink of an eye. Falling to the ground, gradually turning into a cloud of black smoke. Just a simple trick. Make the 10 black pictures disappear without a trace. The soul flies away. See this scene. I don't know who panicked. Is martial arts aimed at the original god? People be careful. The black doctor immediately panicked in his unconscious heart. Back to the back. Looking towards the tears filled with fear. Slightly tilted the head of the sutra, laughing for an hour. He looked at the black man and said, who else? When I heard this, the black men looked at each other. Keep silent without speaking. The body does not automatically move backward. The ant serum could not help but pout its lips and cry out his tears. You still have this trick in your head. Even martial arts, the original god knows normal. I don't see you using it. The angel touched his nose and suddenly laughed. Who is jealous of me? I just got lost. The butler gave him a set of martial arts. It can be said that the mandarin's thick skin has sharp nails. The death of your mandarin. He was jealous for a long time. There's no way to practice Sao. You long this soaked devil, although sound wave martial arts aimed at the original god. But it's martial arts training. Couple to people. Water and fire engineering, technical communication. Martial arts training. It doesn't suit you, does it? The two of you nodded after listening. I feel quite reasonable and calmed down. I looked back at the black man. Serum is patient. Old man, now you can deal with them. The two of us are behind you. Fight quickly and win quickly. It doesn't matter. Laughing for an hour. Suddenly moving forward. Black people hear this. Afraid to step back. Filled with restraint. But I didn't even wait for him to make a sound. The cold fell from the sky. It's a shame. It's just a little bit of strength. Don't get too excited. In the eyes of the heavenly tears could not help shrinking when the unconsciously stagnated. This person is too strong. The same bad guys, here, are basically not on the same level. I can't wait to think about it. The palms of his hands gathered together. The black air screamed loudly. Friction inhibition 3-second extinction. Long Trow demon. At the same time, there was a loud cry. A pan knocked down. But it didn't stop Kia's chains. And then I put my mouth on the ground. Ants and sheep saw this scene. The old man cried out in fear, waiting for the dust to melt away, and everyone saw the horror again. He was hit in the chest by a chainsaw. Difficult to kneel on the ground. There was some fresh blood in his mouth. The black people saw this guy. Immediately kneeled down in the ruling ceremony. Sorry, we haven't caught them yet. Slowly out of hand. The leader didn't even look at them. Silence speaks up. The enemy this time is tough. Beyond your ability to cope. I don't blame you for letting him go. I said, wrists, shake a little. Bring the chains back. Looking towards the tears of wonder, nodding in appreciation. You are finished, NT0. I can still breathe under the old man's breath. You are also rare. I was embarrassed to laugh for an hour. Shocking tears raised their heads screaming. Your power is strong though. But it probably hasn't cracked the landscape yet. If it's the wind's peak. He wanted to defeat the old man in a fight. I'm afraid the whole world won't find someone like that. The 407 Black Leader. Words out of the mouth are like that. However, in the heart of the sutra is very taboo. Chain. He used this whole network to stop it. If there's anything wrong with it. I'm afraid this network didn't last long. Refused for comments. Shake your head and smile a little. The black man spoke up. Sweetie, you really don't know. Or try to avoid this truth. Even if the Vi is equal. But he is not the same endowment. They are as different as heaven and earth. It used to be the Holy Spirit that was it. Maybe the butler is the same now. It's just the big three. They could easily stop a strong attack. To great players, divine wind peak. Power like that reminds the old man of an old familiar opponent. If possible. The old man also wanted to be himself. Drax's great teacher. Your housekeeper. Hear this word. 3 people can't help but look at each other. I can't wait to see him for 7 days. At this time the black leader spoke again. Okay. This has nothing to do with your loss. The old man also did not want to declare war on the lost family so early. Now, please leave. The old man took Vanra's people away. There's a fart if you take it so easily. So, where's your nose going to be? The two snowmen shouted for a moment. He rushed towards the black leader. In the blink of an eye, hydro-fire energy combines in one place. Together towards him, hitting. Trying to get hot and straight through his chest. Straight to the horizon. Then it's constantly expanding, gradually brought the Kier covered in white light blinding eyes. From beginning to end, people can't move one. Turned into flour. 2 snowmen. The ant saw this scene, and was immediately delighted, laughing for an hour. But when you look at the black people, the 2 snowmen are a little confusing. Why did his subordinates not react at all? calm to the extraordinary. As soon as the two snowmen dropped their hands, a soft laugh transmitted to everyone's ears. Ha ha ha. The martial arts of the peanut family really do make people expand. Even the old man had never met. I don't blame so many people for relying on it. But this trick, if you were an old man, I'm sure it would have worked. But now, that's how the dark air rises. The coils condense into human form. He was a black leader before that. He laughed and said, "The old man is now half demon. That trick doesn't hurt me at all." 3 people cry in the blink of an eye. What the hell is this? Death cannot do anything to him. Now the black leader is swinging again. Chain. The two snowmen were whipped out, endlessly spitting out fresh blood. I have advised you the dear just now. You find your own way to die. You move first. Then don't blame the old man. Coldly looking at the two. Black man again. Bring the room chains. The festival is a little urgent. Rush to the front. The whole body of black air hovering loudly. Friction 3 absolute first consciousness ma long devotion meditation. There's a black dragon around his body. Touch the chain Kier. Make a loud noise. 2 snowmen saw this. Let's say the tidal wave is successful. He opened his mouth to praise the old man. And her words just ended. Long photo with the horrifying tears in the blink of an eye crumbling. Spitting out a sip of fresh blood. But he still stands tall. Protect the 2 snowmen in the back. Swallow down a sip of blood. Difficult prayer ceremony spoke to old men. The old man can only help you get here. The black man saw this. Suddenly I was angry. They say you guys are good brothers. Heaven and earth. If you want to save them, then die for them. I just broke the chain again. Towards the falling tears. The 2 snowmen cried out in fear to the old man. Aggressive cleft lip bite. He did not expect the road to be a paradise. He died like this. Even the opponent doesn't know. There is no other way beyond this hour. He could only wait quietly for death. That's right now. And behind him came the devil's laughter. Have you ever been sold by your brother before? That's how we get rid of the pride of our families. At the same time, the chain suddenly turns its head from the opposite side. Attack towards the leader in black. It startled him. Dare not despise. The black leader hurriedly put on his hands. But he didn't expect it. The chains carry so much force. He can't keep up the speed either. In the blink of an eye he touched his chest. It makes an explosion. For a moment, everyone was stunned. This time again transmitted to your sound. Just came to him. Why the carpet? What the hell is this? Except for 108 Smart Prodigy 3 Magic No. Wait until the dust clears. People just see a cold white male. Standing there, your right arm emits a demonic glow. My eyes look at everyone. Lei is the greatest butler of the tribe. Then, God sees people coming. Breathed a sigh of relief. To remind the butler track. This guy is weird. You have to be careful. This person can switch between bad and real. Normal martial arts are useless to him. There is only one way to deal with the gods. To fix him.